The Coach T Show and the Coach T NBA Show is presented by Turner Sports Training, TST.
Yeah. Hey. You know what time it is? Yeah. You know what time it is? Some people are probably like, what time is it? You know what time it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime.
Yes, sir. Back again. We are back again. We're going to get straight to the point, man. We are back again on the Coach T NBA Show with BG, with Zay. Fresh off of a Final Four game that didn't go so hot. If you are a Duke Blue Devil fan, which everyone knows, all the fans know, BG, you are a Duke Blue Devil fan. We're going to skip right to it, man, because I know this has hit you in the heart, my man. So talk about this game just a little bit, not too long, because obviously this is an NBA show, but talk about your Duke Blue Devils, Coach K, and I guess where it all went wrong, my friend.
It's hard. Leading up to the game, I mean, obviously, it's a rivalry game. You're supposed to hate North Carolina, but we do respect North Carolina. I have respect for North Carolina. I knew they were a hot team, and I mean, I mentioned it to you guys a few times. I'll never come out and admit it, but they're the one team that scared me just because of the emotion of the game. It's just it's a different type of game. It's not, no matter what they can try to say, oh, it's a chance to play for the championship. It's not about rivalry. It is. You do not want to lose that game. And when Duke's typically, a team of guys that are 19, 20 years old, freshmen and sophomores, it's hard to control those emotions and play through those emotions. So they were the one team that I really just didn't want to play because of the possibility of losing to them and what that would mean. So yeah, it sucks. It's devastating. It's going to take a while to get over. Obviously, it's Coach K's last game, so we'll never be able to live it down.
And he may pull a Tom Brady. Maybe he comes back.
I don't think so. He's gotten so much grief already for even having announced the year before.
Bro, that's the smartest thing he could do. What are they talking about? People are silly.
Yeah, they say they're making it about him, and it is what it is. You either love Duke or you hate Duke. There's no in between feelings. But as far as the game went, I think we had opportunities to put it away. As far as I remember, Duke led by 7, which is the largest lead in the game, I believe.
Yep.
And they went up 7 and then gave up an 11-0 run or 13-0 run. And they were just making careless mistakes. Every possession's so important. And when you come down and you take quick shots like that, I wish a few guys would have stepped up a little bit more. I wish Van Carroll would have taken over a little bit more. We'll talk about him later in the show. But at the end of the day, they just didn't get it done. Carolina was, they're the hottest team that night. Right now.
Yeah.
They're the hottest team in the country. I do like Kansas tomorrow night, but
of course,
congrats to North Carolina. So,
definitely congrats to North Carolina. Yeah, that's all you can really say. Congrats on the wonderful career to Coach K. I mean, I can't even put into words, obviously, what he means to the game of basketball. And to anyone that has ever watched basketball or knows anything about the basketball culture, he is ingrained in the basketball culture. Whether you're a college fan, a Duke fan or not, Coach K is Coach K. Goes without saying. All right, so let's get to the NBA stuff, man. We got a couple topics for you guys, as always. Oh, before I do that, Zay, how you doing? Quickly, everything's good? Life's good?
Yeah,
living a dream?
Doing well, for sure. We out here. Let's get it going.
Let's get it going, my man. So we ready. We are actually back on our schedule, and I know BG's watching it. I don't know if Zay's watching it, but while we're doing this show, he is. He shakes his head yes. While we're doing this show, man, we got the women's game on, the college final between UConn and South Carolina. So that's a great little matchup. So fans, just know that we locked in with basketball right now. So the first topic that we will go with, this is titled Underdog, because it's all about the underdogs. UNC won last night as an underdog. St. Peter's had a great run, the best run ever as a Cinderella, as an underdog. So now we're going to think about any NBA terms. Who's an underdog that can make some noise in the NBA playoffs? So if the playoffs began today, so let's base it off of that because we got about a week left. Not much is going to change in terms of playoff seeding. The playoffs began today. I'm asking you guys, BG and Zay, what is the underdog team that can make the most noise? So again, if it began today, we would have a matchup of, in the East, we have the Celtics and the Bulls, 76ers, Raptors. Play-ins will, I guess, be Cavs, Hawks. I'm going to do it. Hornets and Nets. All right. And then on the West, you would have Golden State versus the Nuggets. You would have Mavs versus the Jazz. And then play-in teams would be Timberwolves, Clippers, Pelicans, and Spurs. So I guess we're looking at some of those play-in teams or some of those lower seeds as far as underdogs that can actually make noise in the NBA playoffs, a la the Baron Davis Warriors, who knocked off the Dallas Mavs about 15 years ago as the number 8 seed, knocking off the number 1. So I'm going to go with you guys. BG, we'll begin with you. Give me your top underdog that can make the most noise in the NBA playoffs.
Yeah, so I took this a few different ways. I did a little bit of a different approach here. Obviously, like if you're talking about strictly underdogs, I mean, the Nets stick out to you in the East. They're in the play-in right now, the 10 seed. Obviously,
that's not an underdog. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking 10 seed, you know,
actual seeding, yes, correct. Well, come on, they got KD and Kyrie.
Yeah, but then I flipped the script a little bit, and I just checked the updated rankings or the standings, and it's not an underdog story based on seeding, but the way the year's gone and the way, you know, they're not really being talked about is I like the possibility of the Celtics making it out of the East. I know they're the 2 seed right now.
So making the finals, that would be a big jump for them. Making the finals. Yeah. Okay.
Making the finals. And, you know, they're the hottest team in the league right now, probably. You take away Phoenix. I mean, Celtics are hotter, but Phoenix, I mean, it's hard to beat a team who's only got, you know, less than 20 losses. But they got one of the best duos in the league. Tatum and Brown are establishing themselves as one of the best duos. And they're playing the best defense in the league right now. So, I mean, I'm not going to pick them to win the East, but if we're talking about an unlikely story, I don't think anybody's picking them to come out of the East, but they have a shot. It's going to take a great effort from Tatum and Brown and a great defensive team effort. You know, you got to get through teams like Milwaukee or Philly.
Some tough teams out there. Yeah, but they can do it, man. They got the talent.
Yeah, and, you know, just a kind of an honorable mention. We talked about Toronto on past episodes, just their championship pedigree. They're sitting right now 6th seed. So I could see them winning a first round game, and then depending on who they get matched up with, they could make the Eastern Conference Finals as well. Talking about the West here, again, not a low seed, but I don't like any of the lower seeds out West, to be honest with you. When we're talking about the lower seeds, you got, you know, Lakers still have a shot. They're the 11th seed right now. They have a shot of the play-in. I don't like what they're doing. San Antonio, no. New Orleans, no. Clippers, no.
You don't like Clippers? George is coming back. PG back?
Paul George is coming back, so that's a little scary.
Yeah.
But the West is so tough. But talk about the 4th seed, the Dallas Mavericks. We talked about them today in our group chat. What Luka's doing? Luka's a top 10 player, maybe. I mean, there's a lot of good guys in the league. I don't know if I'd say top 5.
He's unstoppable.
He's a beast. I think he's had like 6 straight 30-point games.
Yep. I think it's the second most ever in franchise history.
He had close to like 16 or 17 assists today.
Yeah, he get them big triple doubles, them supersized ones.
He controls the game, and when you have a player that can control a game, we saw, you know, 2 or 3 years ago, he went on a pretty crazy playoff run individually. If he can get some support, which he's been getting from Brunson and other guys, I like them to, you know, possibly find themselves in the West finals.
I think they can make the West Finals. I think the Mavs can definitely do it. I think they can do it. And if you make it Final Four, you know how it goes. You know, you can make.
Yeah, you get there, you never know. So, so those are my semi sleeper teams, I guess.
Zay, how you feel about that, man? Just about a couple of those teams. Specifically, let's talk about let's talk about the Celtics. How do you like the Celtics' chances in the East quickly? And then obviously you can go to your top underdog that you like.
Yeah, the Celtics, I mean, they're playing well. They're playing hot as of late. 8-2 in their last 10 games, as BG mentioned. So it's one of those things that if you play good at the right time, then hats off to you. Overall in the Eastern Conference, though, I feel as if like all those teams are underdogs, really. If you look at, the entire season, and it's crazy to think that the Nets are going in as the 10th seed, but could very well represent the Eastern Conference in the championship. Right. But basically, I think some teams that do catch my eye, obviously the Nets, because, Kyrie Irving and their ability, just to be a dominant team. But really, the Philadelphia 76ers, they've been teasing with championship pedigree for quite some time, and now they have the opportunity to do it heading into the tournament as a 4 seed. So, if they get things clicking, James Harden, he limits he adapts to being able to play team basketball. I think they can definitely make some noise. But, the Bucks, obviously, you can't count out the past NBA championship. And then the Hornets as well. When you got Ball playing well, it's really, they might not be a team that will go all the way, but
they can win an early round.
They can win a playing game. They can beat the Nets. I can see it happening. So definitely keep an eye out for them.
All right, good stuff, man. Fans, as you know, man, we do a lot of research. We watch a lot of games. We watch a lot of highlights. We try to find every angle we possibly can, and we're obviously trying to give you guys a glimpse of the playoffs and kind of what we're thinking maybe could happen, especially with some of these lower seeds. One in particular, lower seed that I like. I'm going to talk about, two of them. I'll talk about East and West, but in the East, I really like the Atlanta Hawks. Okay, Atlanta Hawks, in their last 10 games, they've won 7 of them. Again, at the right time, because they are right on the verge of, being that 8th, 9th seed. So obviously they had to win a lot of games recently just to get to that spot. Try to get that 8th seed, possibly even 7th seed. I don't know. It's going to be tough. They got 2 games. They're 2 games behind the Cavs. But again, they put themselves in a really good position to solidify themselves in the playoffs and then be able to play one of those top teams. And if you remember a year ago, the reason why Ben Simmons is not on the 76ers, why is that? Because of that series against the Atlanta Hawks. So I think that the Hawks, especially with Ice Trae, who can get, man, this young man is phenomenal. He can get you 40, 10 assists. I mean, you think about it, the stats that he puts up, him and Luka are very similar in the fact that they can get you 30, 35 points. They can flip around and get you 12 to 15 assists. Trae Young is not going to get you the rebounds, but in terms of being able to shoot the 3 from deep, stretch the defense, and then he can make so many plays for his teammates. It's just phenomenal what he can do. So he can definitely be the catalyst to the Atlanta Hawks knocking off one of these top seeds, because again, if they started right now and they stayed in the 8th spot, they would be playing the Miami Heat. Wouldn't be a great matchup for the Hawks, but again, anything can happen, especially you got all that talent that the Atlanta Hawks have, especially on the wing and their ability to score. And then on the West Coast, man, I got 2 teams, okay? And I know I said I started with 1, then I added 2. Now I'm at 3. But I like the Clippers because PG is back. So that's number 1. Number 2, I really like the Timberwolves because I talked about them before as possibly making noise. I love Cat. I love D'Angelo, right? Russell. And then the young cat they got, his name is escaping me. BG loves him. He always calls him a dog. Wing.
Anthony Edwards.
Anthony Edwards. Okay. Yeah. You know what he can do. Man, it's just, honestly, looking at the Western Conference, I would almost predict that a lower seed, a 5 and under seed, will knock off a top 4 seed, because you have the Jazz at 5, Nuggets at 6, Timberwolves at 7, Clippers at 8. Independent if the Pelicans or Spurs gets in, I'm almost going to go out on a limb and say I expect one of those 5 through 8 seeds on the West Coast to knock off a top seed. And one of the top seeds I'm probably looking at, I don't want to say Golden State is vulnerable, but if Steph ain't there, he ain't all the way healthy, they can definitely got. And then Mavs, I really do like them to make a run, but they're also one of those teams, they're feast or famine. Yes, they can make a great run, but also they can be knocked out in the first round. And right now, they're the 4th seed. So that's my prediction there, that I think a 5 through 8 seed will win a first round matchup against one of those top 4 seeds in the Western Conference. All right, next topic.
I was gonna say, I really think you're gonna. It's not gonna be all chalk in the NBA playoffs. No. I think you're gonna see a little March Madness style NBA playoff on here. There's gonna be some upsets. I think there's gonna be an unlikely finals matchup. Maybe 2 teams in East Conference final that people aren't really expecting.
Yeah, I like that, and I just feel like the energy from March Madness and just the energy from this year in basketball, I feel like it falls right into the NBA. And I agree with you. I don't think it's going to be all chalk. I think you're going to get one of these lower seeds, maybe even a couple of them, that really make some noise in the NBA playoffs. Second topic, ticking time bomb. Okay, now this is kind of a spinoff or a follow-up to our last question. We talked about underdog teams that can make some noise. I'm going to ask you guys, what are some underdog or some maybe unsung players that can make a name for themselves in this year's playoffs? Zay, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I think just based off the way the year has gone, first name that comes to mind is Darius Garland. He's a guy who's definitely took a lot of people by storm. Them not expecting him to be as good as he is, or produce the way he is, or leading a young Cavs team to the place they are. Being in the Eastern Conference and fighting hard as a 7th seed right now, above 500, the best record, the highest win total without LeBron during the LeBron era. That's definitely something that shouldn't be slept on, and a large factor of it is based off of him and the production he's had. He was an NBA All-Star, and he produced night in and night out. He averages 21 points a game, leads the team with that, averages 8.7 assists, leads the team in that as well, and averages about a little over a steal a game and leads the team in that as well. So he gets it done. And he's efficient. His assist to turnover ratio is so he's two above. So
you love that
definitely
stat.
Yeah.
I like that.
Productive. He's productive for sure. But other players to definitely keep an eye out for. Obviously, I'm a Ja Morant fan. I know BG might give me a little shade on that one, but Ja Morant, he's had a great year, and he's gonna keep on doing great in the playoffs, in my opinion. Memphis, the 2nd seed, he's averaging 27.6 points a game, leading the team in assists, 6.7 assists a game, and playing the most minutes, 33 minutes a game, and doing it well, efficient. His assist to turnover ratio is above 2, so it's something that young budding stars, two young budding stars leading young teams, those are definitely 2 of my favorite players that I'll be looking out for in this year's playoffs.
Okay, fans be on the lookout for those players. BG, who you got?
Yeah, so I had a couple names down, and obviously I'll touch on them throughout this, but I'm gonna go off script a little bit. And the reason why I think this NBA playoffs is so interesting, we talked about how tight some of the races are, especially the East up top, and how we think there's gonna be some upsets, some unlikely teams. But I think you can go down the line in both conferences, and there's 1 or 2 guys that really can make a name for themselves or help their legacy even more on every single team. You talk about Miami in the East, Jimmy Butler winning a championship, along with that crew, Kyle Lowry, he's there now. That will say a lot about his legacy. Talk about Boston. I mean, Jason Tatum, not a lot of people have, some people have him as a top 15 player. A lot of people still are uncertain about him. But if he goes and he makes a deep playoff run, makes it to the finals, wins an NBA title, I mean, that's really doing a lot for him and his legacy. Obviously, Giannis and what he's done in his young career already. I mean, he starts putting himself, dare I say, almost in the GOAT conversation if he wins another Finals MVP. And then you got guys like Joel Embiid and Harden, who are on Philly, who are titleists. You know, if those two guys go win a title, it really helps them. Obviously, KD with Brooklyn. Kyrie has a lot to gain with a title. He can shut people up about him not getting vaccinated all year and sitting out. And KD can shut people up about not winning one with besides joining the Warriors, the best team ever. And then
retire that man's jersey. He said it'd be a travesty if they don't retire his jersey.
Then you look to the West, and I mean, Devin Booker and Chris Paul on the Suns. Devin Booker's been disrespected all year. He's not in any MVP conversation.
Right.
He wasn't
crazy.
He wasn't voted as a starter, as an all-star starter. They still don't talk about the Suns. If he can go win a title, that's huge for him. Huge for him. Chris Paul starts putting himself in the greatest point guards of all time conversation. I mean, he's kind of in it, but he really starts putting himself in it. If he wins the title, and his lack of success in playoff history, then I know Zay loves him, but Ja has a lot to gain. Klay Thompson for the Warriors, being left off the top 75 team. Curry, I mean, he just puts even more, cementing his legacy even more. He's kind of head-to-head with Magic as the top point guard ever. If he wins another one, how do you not put him above Magic? Luka's got a lot to prove. And then, PG. If PG can make a great playoff run, he's got a, playoff P is a negative nickname for him. If he can make a deep run, get some upsets, lead a team without Kawhi, I mean, that says a lot about his legacy as well. So I think there's a lot of players that have a lot to gain. A lot to gain.
I think you named every NBA player on every NBA roster.
No, I skipped a few.
No, I'm kidding. That was really good. A really good list, and make a lot of really good points, both of you guys. And that is the wonderful thing about the NBA playoffs, man. That is why I fell in love with the game of basketball first and foremost as a kid, and especially NBA basketball, because there's a distinct difference, right or wrong, between the regular season and the playoffs. It's officiated differently. The defensive intensity ratchets it up. Everything is just heightened, and I just feel like the players that are true GOATs, that are true superstars, they show themselves to actually be superstars within the playoffs. Now, the regular season means a lot, but it ain't the playoffs. It's different. There's a lot of guys that, we honestly, and I say we, I'm talking about your casual fan, we knock because of what they did not do in the playoffs. Thinking of a James Harden, thinking of a Chris Paul, thinking of those type of guys that stellar careers, top 100, top 75 players of all time. But the only dirt on their name that people throw at them is because of their lack of playoff success. So you talking about underdogs, ticking time bombs, guys that are bubbling, but they ain't really popped yet. But these playoffs could do it for them. I got a couple guys in mind, and one in particular, I'm going to start with Jordan Poole. What has Jordan Poole done to this point before this year that gave any reason to him, jump into that superstar or all NBA or even all-star level? Really nothing. But what has he done recently, especially since Steph has been out? Oh, I don't know. He's done nothing but have games of 31 points, 38 points, 25 points, 26 points, 24 points, 30 points, 26 points, 28 points, 29 points, 30 points. And he's been really efficient. He rebounds the ball well. He assists the ball well. He's averaging at this moment right now, if I could do the quick math, he's close to 30 points a game. I'm talking about in his last month. 30 points a game, 6 rebounds a game, 6 assists a game. And he can knock down a tray ball. I mean, I remember he was drafted out of Michigan. I did not think he was going to be all that. I knew he was a shooter. I'm like, okay, he can come off the bench for GS, Golden State, and, maybe do some things. But he has shown, man, like he can do a lot. And if if that franchise didn't have a player named Steph Curry or didn't have a player named Klay Thompson in their history, you can't tell me that they wouldn't hand the keys to that young man and give him the fortune, give him the kingdom and say, hey, run the show, because he is one of those guys. He is legit. So I think he can really make that next level step and show the world, hey, I'm not just a gimmick. I'm not a gadget player. I'm not somebody that can only shine when Steph Curry's out. No, I'm a legit, bubbling, superstar, all-star level type of player. Another guy I got, maybe not on that level, but who's been doing work as well. You guys know my guy, man. Desmond Bane. And again, he's in the same vein as Jordan Poole. You look at some of his recent stats. Okay, here we go.
South Carolina's about to put this away. Right?
Bro, I'm watching right now.
They're up 16.
And again, another name, Desmond Bane, who I've hit on multiple times, but he's in that same vein. You look at some of his totals recently: 22 points, 20 points, 30 points, 23 points, 24 points, 21 points, 21 points. And again, it's not all about scoring with him, but the fact that he can just knock down a tray ball. You guys know, in those big playoff series where maybe, the superstar's not really having that great game, and they need one of those quote unquote role players to step up, and have a 25, 30 point game, maybe hit 5 or 6 threes. Desmond Bane is one of those guys for Memphis. And he's been one of those guys for Memphis. And BG, I think you said it in our group chat. Memphis is like, without Ja Morant, they've won like 80% of their games. And a lot of that's crazy. And a lot of it has to do with Desmond Bane. So those are my two guys. They're out west, but those are guys that I'm looking at. I'm like, man, they could really show the world, improve what they got. All right, last topic here, man. We got March Madness. We got the draft coming up. So we're going to title this one Draft Madness. All right, so I'm going to ask you guys, BG, we'll start with you. Which college prospect do you think will be the best player in this year's draft? Your turn.
Is this a trick question?
Which Duke player? Come on, give it to me.
I mean, I've honestly been unbiasedly harsh on Paolo Banchero, and I think he had a great game last night. I think he's had a good March Madness, but he did not have a great enough game last night. And when I said it before the game, I said if we're going to beat Carolina, he needs to be the best player on the court, and he simply was not. I don't even know. Yeah, he led Duke in scoring, but I don't think he was the best Blue Devil on the court. And the reason that I think NBA scouts might take a second look at him, I mean, he's going top 3, but when you're talking about going 1 overall, his defense is suspect. He can't stay in front of guys. He was a little bit of a defensive liability for us. I mean, nobody really talked about it, but I watched it every single game. He needs to work on his defense. Obviously, down the stretch in big moments early in the season, he had great games against Kentucky and Gonzaga, but he gets quiet 20-point games and he never really goes off. But I mean, I would still take him 1 overall. Obviously,
you would take him 1 overall.
I would take him 1 overall just because I don't think Chet Holmgren has an NBA body yet. I don't think he's ready to be a franchise guy. I don't think anyone obviously is coming out of this being a franchise guy, but I would take Paulo 1. Honestly, I would. You got the Jabari kid from that's Jabari
Smith Jr. out of Auburn, 6'10"
out of Auburn. But honestly, and you're gonna laugh, but I would take Jaden Ivey too. I think
he would definitely be up there.
I think he had a very bad game against St. Peter's, but I think he only scored 9 points in that game. But I think he's going to be a great two-way player. Again, I don't think anyone's going to be a franchise player coming out of the draft, but I think he's going to be a solid role player. I think he's super athletic. He's super quick. He gets the basket. He's shown you he can knock down big shots, game winners. I think he can defend really well too. But the guy that I think is going to be the steal in the draft, and I say steal in the draft, but he's projected 13th right now, I believe.
No, that's a steal. That's a steal.
You talk about Desmond Bane, you talk about Jordan Poole. Guys who can knock down shots are going to be huge in the NBA. And if you're a kid listening right now, form shoot. If you can hit shots, you can play on the court. Coaches are going to want to play you. And I'm gonna go with Ochai Abaji. I think I'm saying that right, from Kansas. I think he's going to be the difference in tomorrow night's national championship game. He can knock down shots. He started off the game in the semifinals versus Villanova. He went 4 for 4 from 3 in the first 10 minutes of the game. He can knock it down. He's got a big body. He's got an NBA body. He's a big guard. He can get to the rack. He can play defense. I think he's going to be a steal. You know, if somebody can get him in that 10 through 15 range, that late lottery, I think he's going to end up being one of the better. He's going to be one of the top 5 players in the draft for sure.
I like it. Zay, like you itching. You ready to go? What do you like? Who do you like? Top player.
Definitely.
The prospect that will be the top player, the best player, not necessarily the number 1 pick, but the best player in this year's draft.
Yeah, and going off the number 1 pick, and BG really hit every angle talking about him. Jaden Ivey, I think overall, franchise is gonna see what happened between John Morant and kind of look at Jaden Ivey the same way. You know, franchises, they were kind of hesitant going after John Morant because of his style of play. Didn't think he'd be able to adjust. But Jaden Ivey, obviously, he comes from a bigger school, has played against obviously better competition, and still doing everything that John Morant did. You know, and I think even John Morant, he didn't go out on the best note in his last game of college, but he hit the offseason hard. And I think that's what Jaden Ivey's going to do. Obviously, his mom being the coach at Notre Dame, you know, they talking about his film right now. I know they are. And he's talking about next steps. So I would definitely look in Jaden Ivey being the steal, the most valuable pick in the draft.
All right, like Jaden Ivey. Some of the comps for Jaden Ivey, if anyone was wondering, you mentioned John Morant and then Dwayne Wade. Some people have Dwayne Wade as a comp for Jaden Ivey. So that's a good group, good class to be associated with. We all know about Chet. We all know about Jabari Smith. I'm not that high on Jabari Smith, to be honest. I know he's young. He was a freshman this year. You know, 6'10", 220, 7-foot wingspan. You know, I guess Bruce Pearl said he's the best jump shooter that he's seen, that he's coached, which says a lot, especially for a 6'10" prospect. But I take that back. Not that I'm not as high on him. I don't know if I would necessarily take him number 1, but he could grow into, you know, one of those impact wings. When you 6'10" and you can shoot it, you can still handle it. Plus you can rebound, you can impact the game on all levels. You know, you can really be an impact player. I mean, those are the best players that we have right now. The best players in the NBA since the start of time and definitely currently, they can control the game in multiple ways. So he has the potential of doing that. So I can see why a lot of people are high on him. Chet, we know that. I'm not really worried about the size or the lack thereof. I just love the fact that he is very unique. You know, with big guys like that, especially as frail as he is, you do worry about injury, but you know, especially in the lower extremities. But he's been slim his whole life, so it's not like he just woke up last week and got slim. Like he's used to being, you know, a slimmer guy. And the fact that he can shoot is definitely good. And honestly, he plays defense. You know, one of the comps for him, which I was surprised by on defense, is Marcus Camby. And if anybody knows Marcus Camby, especially with Marcus Camby, John Calipari at UMass back in the day, hey, it was a different beast. I'm telling you, man. Marcus Camby was a difference maker on the defensive end, block shots galore. I mean, that was his specialty. So, and I know Chet can do that. And plus, on the offensive end, you know, he can shoot it and do his thing. I like Jaden Ivey. I like Paulo. A guy that I'm really looking at, man. I don't know if he's going to be the best player, but one of the comps they have for him is Pascal Siakam. And I like Siakam. We see what Siakam's doing. Siakam's one of those guys that is kind of an underdog guy that I think can make some noise in the playoffs this year. I'm looking at him, man. Keegan Murray out of Iowa. I know it's not sexy. It's not cool. You know, you don't really think of this guy, but I'm telling you, 6'8", 215, sophomore. He can rebound the ball. He can score inside. He can knock down a catch and shoot three. I really like him. I don't know if he's going to be necessarily the best player, but in terms of the NBA and what you can do, a two-way player and a guy that can stretch the floor plus finish on the inside, he can make free throws. He's only going to get better. I mean, this kid is 19, y'all. Like 19, and I think he was a leader in the Big Ten in points per game. I think that is over Jaden Ivey, or very close to it. So he is very quiet, very slept on underdog type, but I really like his game. And then I got one last guy, which I think can be a really good player. So I like guys that can score, man. One thing about the NBA, if you can score, you can really work your way up being one of those top guys. And the guy that I'm looking at right now, man, and I always screw his name up. I know his first name, Benedict Mathurin from Arizona. You remember the run they had this year? Now it fell short of what some people's expectations were. 6'6" wing. That is a big time athlete. He's a shot maker. He's got NBA size already. He has athleticism, and he's one of those guys. He really put Arizona on his back, and he can score, man. You talk about that 6'6", 6'7" wing that can fly around, that can make plays, that can score off the dribble, that can catch and shoot, that can finish in the paint, that can make free throws, that can shake you up, can dunk on you. He's one of those guys. So I really like him, man. But there's a lot of really good prospects in this draft. So I'm really excited to see who will actually step up, who will actually be, some of those top 5, top 10, top 15 picks that end up exceeding expectations. A la you got your dog over there? What dog is that? Let me see.
Cat.
Oh, the cat. Ooh. I used to have a cat, man. One of our first pets was a cat. Willow, man. Shout out to Willow, man. R.I.P. to her, man. She was great.
R.I.P.
So, man. Oh, look at the cat. What was I saying? But yes, it's just a lot of players in this draft. I don't think this draft has necessarily. I don't think it has a plethora of just franchise changing guys. But what they do have, you have a lot of depth. You have a lot of different type of players. You have international flavor. You got wings. You got bigs. You got guards. You got combo guards. You got stretch guys as bigs. I think this is a type of draft where you can really build out. You get 2 or 3 of these guys, you can really build out your franchise and your future, and you add them with a superstar, man, you can do some really big things with this draft. So I'm excited. Anything else to add with that, guys?
No, I wish all the Duke guys would just come back.
hey, your boy, man, I didn't see him. I'm glad you mentioned that. Williams, the big guy, Williams. I really love him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's where I thought you were going when you said.
What's his first name?
Mark
Williams. They have him. I'm looking at one site, NBA Draft Room. They have him. Yeah, they have him around the 20 mark. They have him at 18. Michael Olowokandi is his comp. Gosh, these names are throwbacks, man. Michael Olowokandi was drafted by the Clippers, I think, as number 1. I mean, it was a surprise number 1. And you see he ain't really do so much, but I really like him, man. A 7 foot, 227 wingspan. And bro, when he dunks, we were watching that game last night. Me and my father-in-law. Shout out to my father-in-law. We celebrated his birthday yesterday. And shout out to Frank's Backyard Barbecue in Cedar Lake, man. I'm telling y'all, go check that out. They got some fire barbecue. But long story short, we were watching that Duke UNC game, and Mark Williams had a dunk where, I mean, he was dunking on his way up. I think that young man can touch the top of the backboard. Like, I would not put it past him. He can do that. It looked like he is jumping off a trampoline. Like, he's one of those. Who's my man that plays for the Celtics? The Time Lord, Williams, the big guy who's injured now. But Robert Williams. He's one of those Robert Williams. Like, he's one of those.
I'll say Tyson Chandler.
Tyson Chandler. Yeah, he's one of those guys. Yeah. I don't want to say DeAndre Jordan, because I think he's a little more skilled and he can shoot it a little more. And because you see him at the free throw line, like, he's actually got a nice little form. But I'm telling you, I love those guys that can rim run, they can alley-oop run, and they can block shots. And if you foul them, they can. And if you foul them, they can make free throws. I love
you.
it.
You just had to bring up him at the free throw line like that. He knocked down 2 free throws. He knocked
just
down
had
2
to,
free
man.
throws. I'm in a different mood right now.
But all right, man. We're gonna wrap this up because it's 9:15 now. We've been on the mic for about 45 minutes, and that's really all we need, man. So anything you guys want to add? Anything you guys want to say to the people out there before we go?
Shout out to y'all. We glad to be back. Shout out to South Carolina women's basketball. You know, they balling. They are balling they ball for real, got it done. So
shout out
yeah.
Shout out to Don Staley, man. Do you guys know who Don Staley is? Please say yes.
I've heard, but I couldn't tell you.
Gosh. Hey, we need to just have a throwback. Don Staley is South Carolina coach. Team USA, like official point guard. Like she's basically like the Chris Paul of WNBA. Like she was nice. Like one of those you can count on. Like do everything point guard. And I'm glad she won that national title. So shout out to Don Staley. Wow, they showing a video of her now on TV, man. So shout out to Don Staley. Shout out to South Carolina women's basketball.
And go Jayhawks.
Hey, too bad you and Coach Mike didn't have a little wager on that, man. It's sad y'all ain't do that. Sad.
He's too scared. He's too scared to do it. He won't golf against me. He won't wager.
Ooh. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know about Mike, man. I don't know.
He won't come on the show.
No challenge, man. Come on, man. He don't want to accept any challenge.
He don't like public speaking.
All right, let's wrap it up, man. You guys are done. I'm done. Fans, thank you again for listening. Thank you again for your support. Thank you again for all you have done. We do this show for you guys and only for you guys. You guys are in our hearts every time we turn on the mic. So I'm gonna wrap it up here. So from us to you, this is me, Coach T. Keep showing us love, and we'll keep bringing you that fun. Peace. All right, it's a wrap, man. You guys get some rest, man. 9:18. We are out. Good job. Great show. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'll see you guys. Hey, we got to get some hoop sessions in, man.
We
BG,
do.
you still got your key? You still got your key?
Still got my key for now.
Still got the key. Still got the key. I love it. Hey, y'all check out some Don Staley highlights, man. Check them out.
I will. I'm gonna
Check
go.
them
I'm gonna go
All right.
finish being depressed.
Get you one of these, man.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
All right.
All
I'll
right.
see you guys.
Peace, guys. Good job.
All right, peace.
Yep.